Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. In this section we're going to look at adding text to an image. I've already added text a couple of times earlier on in the course. I didn't really explain what was going on. This time I'm going to give you a reasonably thorough explanation of the basics of adding text. There may be all sorts of reasons for adding text to an image. You might effectively treat it as a caption. You may want to point out a particular feature on the image, or you may want to record, for example, where the picture was taken. When it comes to adding text, we're going to do this in expert mode, and we're going to use the type tool set. Now in the drawer section over here, you have down in the bottom left hand corner the type tools. If I click on type tools, you'll find there are actually a whole load of them. There are 7 type tools here. There's the horizontal type tool, the vertical type tool, and then there are various variants on these. There's the type mask tool, the vertical type mask tool, and so on. I'm really just going to concentrate on the first 2 in this section, so I'm going to start with type horizontal. When it comes to adding type, you have a lot of options here for things like the font to use, the style. Note how this is currently set at bold italic, and the font is set at Georgia bold italic. The size, this is set at 72 point, and then a colour for the text as well. To the right of that you have options, for example, for the alignment. This currently has left alignment selected. To add text to an image, you can either make these settings first and then add your text, or you can add your text and then adjust the settings afterwards. It's very much like adding text in a word processing program. In some ways though, it's quite a bit more complicated than in a word processing program, because how the text will look will very much depend on your image. Not only, for example, from the point of view that the text will need to be a colour that will be clear to read on your image, but also from the point of view of how big the text appears, which of course will largely depend on the size of your image as well. So what I'm going to do here, first of all, is to make a couple of simple selections. I'm going to choose a font. I have a list of fonts here which is a pretty long list of fonts, and the only thing I can be fairly certain of is that your list of fonts won't be the same as mine. And of course the selection of fonts you've got will depend not only on your operating system but on other software you've got installed, maybe additional fonts you've had installed, and so on. So let me choose one that you will probably have. Here's one, Papyrus Regular. I'm going to choose the largest point size I've got. I'm going to choose 100 points. And the colour, this defaults to the last colour I use, which is quite a dark blue colour. I'm going to stick with that sort of dark blue violet. That's fine, let's stick with that colour. Having made those selections, in order to actually put text onto the image, what I'm going to do is to click somewhere on the image, and what you'll see is a flashing cursor. Note also the commit and cancel buttons. And what I'm going to do is to start typing. I've made a deliberate typing mistake there. Before I click the tick, I'm going to use a left arrow to go back through my text, delete the misspelling and correct it. All the time I have that flashing vertical cursor, I'm editing text. However, if I click on the green tick to commit the text, I am no longer editing text. So if I start typing text now, it won't just carry on after the word from, for example. What I have now visible on the screen is a text box. You can see the little handles on the corners, and if you look at the toolbox on the left, you can see the selected tool is no longer the type tool, it's now the move tool. It's very important when you're working with text that you appreciate at any stage what state you're in. Are you in text entry mode, or are you in a mode where you can see a text box and, of course with the move tool selected, move the text box around. So if I hover the cursor somewhere inside the area of the text box, click with the mouse, I can move that text around and position it where I want it on my image. If I wanted to edit the text again, what I would do is to choose the type tool again and click within the text that I've already typed. Now I'm back to a point where I can edit the text. If, however, I clicked outside that area with the type tool selected, I'd be starting a new text box. This does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, I think it's absolutely fine to work with. When I'm in text editing mode, as I am now, note I've got the flashing cursor and I have the commit and cancel buttons. I can not only type text, delete text, I can also reformat it. So for example, if I click with the mouse where the cursor is now and hold it down so that I select the word view, I could change the formatting of the word view. So just that word is selected. Let's go for a different font. Let's go for Myriad Web Pro Bold and maybe a different font size. Let's make it smaller and let's change the color of just that piece of text. Let's make it that fairly deep green. Okay. So in that case, I've entered the text first and then changed the formatting. Let me undo that last change. And I'm going to add some more text inside this text box. I showed you just now how to click inside and get back into edit mode. There's another way of doing that which some people prefer. If you right click on the text box, one of the options is edit text. And that puts you back in editing mode. Note how all of the text is currently selected. So if I actually started typing now, I'd delete what was there, which I definitely don't want to do. So let me cancel that operation. Let me right click again, edit text. Now if I press the right arrow, it'll take me to the end of the text that's there already. If I want to start a new line, all I have to do is to hit the enter key. And I've now got multi-line text. And having committed that, and note that the text box is selected, I can move the whole box around to put it in just the place that I want it to be on this image. What I'm going to do now is to delete that text box. So you can see it's still selected. I've still got the selection handles. All I need to do is to press the delete key on the keyboard. I get a warning about deleting a layer. As you'll see later, when you add text, you automatically add it on a new layer. So away goes that. One other important option when it comes to adding text is that you can actually draw the area that you want the text to go into as a multi-line box or a box of a certain size. So let's suppose this time that I'm going to put the same words in, but I choose the horizontal type tool. Instead of just clicking and starting to type, you can actually drag out on the screen the area that you want the type to go into. If you then find that the area isn't big enough, you can resize it, etc. But let's just see how that works with the equivalent of the text that I put in before. Note now, I'm not hitting the enter key. I'm just going to write that long word. Automatically, what PSE does for me is to turn the lines at the relevant points. And the next point is a very important one. I'm still in text entry, text editing mode. Let's suppose that I've got that far with the typing and I decide that I need some more space. If I pull, for example, one of the sizing handles out to the right to give myself more space, or I pull, say, one of the bottom sizing handles down to make the box taller, as you can see, I've now got plenty more typing space. So if I wanted to add some more information, I could just keep typing. Once I've committed though, and I'm no longer in text editing mode, I've now got a text box selected and the move tool. If I were to move those same handles, they would no longer give me more or less typing space. What they would do is to distort the text inside the box, because the text is not now being treated as text. It's effectively being treated as a special sort of graphic inside a box. So sometimes you may want to have more or less space for typing. Sometimes you may want to, if you like, distort a box with text in it like this. Which happens in any particular situation depends totally on which tool you have selected. So let me just cancel that one. Go back into text editing mode. Let me get rid of the last little bit of text I typed there. Now, while I'm still in text edit mode, I can reset my text, tick to commit, move the box around. I'm happy with that. I've just got one other thing to show you in this section. Let me move the text I just added over there. What I'm now going to do is to add some vertical text. So I'm going to choose the vertical type tool. I'm going to click on the picture over here and I'm going to start typing. Note how as I type, automatically the characters that I'm typing are appearing one above the other. Hence the vertical type tool. Commit that. I've now got a box and I can move that vertical text around. That's it on the basics of text. We're going to be looking at some more advanced text entry and editing features later on in the course. I'll see you in the next section.